quick disclaimer, we are not investigative journalists. We simply read, watch, and listen to whatever we can to satisfy our curiosity while use this information to form our own personal opinions. Do not take this as investigative journalism. This is simply our own rabbit holes.
Hello, friends, and get ready. We're going to talk about the docs, the crimes, and all the people involved. This is Crime and Chill. Hey guys, I'm Victoria.
I'm Rachel.
How are you, Rachel?
I don't even know what day it is.
I don't either.
I don't know when this will air. I don't know what day it is.
I don't know.
It's okay.
It's fine. We're here. We're alive. We'll figure it out. We've had caffeine. We got this.
Not enough. I finished one and didn't even remember I finished it.
We both need completely different levels of caffeine to function versus I have this one large iced coffee from Dunkin' and then I'm fine. Like, I don't drink any more coffee. I might just have, like, a soda or two or something like that. But past that, like, no more coffee after this one because I will have a panic attack.
My brain doesn't function without, like, cocaine levels of... Yeah, no. No, it just doesn't. I need, like... I mean, maybe that's why I am an anxious person. Either way, I'm anxious if I don't have it, or I'm anxious if I do, so I might as well just have it.
I mean, if it makes you happier to have it than not have it, but you're still going to be anxious either way.
It makes me functionable.
Just make yourself happy.
Yeah. So, what's going on in the new crime?
Well, we're going to talk about Angarella Mendoreos. I can't.
You just forgot how to say it that quickly?
I did. Agarella. Who was convicted in 2019 of 4 deaths stemming from an accident in his semi-truck.
How is this new crime news?
Because, just wait. He has had his sentence downgraded from 110 years to just 10 years because the Colorado governor granted clemency in this case.
Okay. I have big issues with that.
Let me tell you the details.
10 years isn't enough, but go ahead.
So, Agarella was driving his semi-truck carrying a load of lumber when his brakes malfunctioned, and he was trying to let the truck shift gears in order to stop it. Now, a lot of people have read this and they're like, well, how was that his fault? How is it his fault that the brakes malfunctioned? How is it his fault that the truck malfunctioned? They're not saying it was his fault that the truck malfunctioned. That's not the issue here. And that's not why he was brought up on these charges. He was going in the semi, it was going around 85 miles per hour, and he drove past several runaway truck ramps where he could have taken the truck off. And those truck ramps are made to...
Not kill somebody!
Not kill anybody. But his lawyers have said that he was too overwhelmed and didn't see them. He didn't take the truck into the median because he was scared it was going to flip. Self-preservation in this case. And as the truck came up on standstill traffic on the interstate, he closed his eyes because he thought he was going to die. The crash involved 28 vehicles total and killed 4 people. So in October of 2021, he was convicted of 4 counts of vehicular homicide, 6 counts of first-degree assault, 10 counts of attempted first-degree assault, 4 counts of careless driving causing death, 2 counts of vehicular assault, and 1 count of reckless driving.
Okay, but that was a bit much. But...
It was a lot.
10 years is not enough. You get a lot of training as a truck driver.
Mm-hmm. But the thing was, and a lot of people were pissed about the 110 years because they said that was excessive, that was ridiculous.
That is excessive.
I agree. But here's the thing. The judge kind of had their hands tied because first-degree assault and attempted first-degree assault charges, they're both classified as crimes of violence in Colorado. And they have a sentencing minimum.
As they should be, but I don't think they should have been used in this case.
But they have a sentencing minimum.
Right, no, I understand. I just don't think those should have been charges that he was sought after.
Yeah.
It should have only been ascension to vehicular.
Yes.
It should not have went anywhere into the assault realm.
Yeah, I agree.
But 10 years,
I mean,
that's a sore spot for me, so... Okay, I'm glad he's not getting 110.
Well, Alexis King, who is the first judicial district attorney... They had already been seeking resentencing. Like, this was already going. They had it scheduled for January of this year. So, like, it would have been later sometime this month. She's upset with the governor for acting prematurely before this resentencing could happen. And before the hearing could be held.
10 years is fine. It's fine. I mean, nothing he could have made the decision to go up the stop ramps. He could have. Mm-hmm. But hindsight's 2020.
There was a lot of things that this could have been prevented.
Like, why didn't we do maintenance on the truck to make sure the truck was in good condition?
Exactly. Victims' families are very upset. They're saying that some of them are saying it shouldn't have been reduced at all. Some of them are very upset with the 10 years because he will be eligible for parole in 2026.
I mean, even if he doesn't get parole, he'll be out in 2029.
Yeah.
So,
that's what's going on. Like I said, a lot of people are very upset about it. It is what it is. The governor said 110 years.
The brakes went out, right?
The brakes malfunctioned.
Why is the company not liable at all in this case?
that was I liked it. That's what I was wondering. Why
I have
weren't
not
they
seen
charged?
anything
I'm
about
not
the
saying
company.
the guy's innocent or nothing like that.
Right.
But the company needs to be held liable.
Exactly.
And
but I'm not seeing if he
haven't
owned
heard
that
nothing
part of the
about it.
rig, because some of them
It's
own that part
rig,
of the rig.
yeah. But even if they own it, like an Uber driver, they own their car, and they are responsible to insure their car. But that's why Uber wants such high limits, because they're going to go after the bigger pockets. Mm-hmm. And so why? Yes, he needed charges.
Yes.
But
because you could have prevented it and you didn't.
Whatever company he was driving for should have also been held liable. And we don't know if they were or not. I mean, I'm sure they
I'm sure
sure
they're probably
there
in
was
the process of
lawsuits.
getting sued.
But 110 years. What about those truckers who are used to driving in terrible conditions? And like in Virginia last week, they jackknifed all over the road. The road was closed. How many? Did anybody die? No, not this time. But it's happened before.
Yes, it happens
And
all the time.
Somebody may have died. I don't know. I didn't look, but I'm just saying it happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's dangerous to be on the road. That's why my whole laugh of life, everything's dangerous. You walk out your door, it's dangerous. You sit in your house, it's dangerous. 110 years, though, is a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, I feel like it should be more than 10. I will give the families that of 10 years does seem a little lenient because he could have prevented it and didn't. There was things that he could have done and didn't do. Again, like you say, hindsight's 2020, but going to Tennessee and back, Clay and I see it all the time. The runaway ramps, they're every freaking where.
Just going to Asheville, they're up there.
Yeah, there's several.
Considering all the people that died, I think it's fair. 10 years is fair.
For 4 people?
Yeah, for when my sister was killed, he got 7.
I don't think he had enough training, you know? He's lucky he didn't kill himself.
Yeah, that's why he wouldn't go into the median, because he thought he was going to die in the crash, and he thought the truck was going to flip, and he was going to die either way.
Not enough training, and the company, man. This at the end of the day, it never would have happened if the brakes didn't go out. So
Yep, exactly.
that's how I look at it.
Well, thanks for your input.
Thank you.
No problem.
Hey guys, I'm cutting in from editing real quick to talk about a local missing persons case we have going. Caitlin Savannah Stewart, who is 14, has been missing since January 14th, last seen leaving Boiling Springs High School, and she has not been seen or heard from since then. She's missing from the Boiling Springs area, but it is possible she is in North Carolina. We have her picture posted on our social media accounts. If you have any information about her whereabouts or have seen her, please contact the Spartanburg County Sheriff's Office at 864-596-2222 or call 911 immediately. Thanks. So, what are we talking about today, Rachel?
Today is a rabbit hole on accident. So you ever notice on Spotify it'll like pop up like suggested podcasts due to whatever you're listening to?
Yes.
All right. So the other day, I finished, I'm caught up on all of mine. I don't have anything left. The average person supposedly listens to 6. I probably listen to like 12.
Yeah.
It pops up about a celebrity athlete influence, like this huge person. And I'm like, no way. Okay. So we're going to talk about Michael Jordan's father being murdered. Did you know that Michael Jordan's father was murdered?
I didn't know that.
Okay, I'm glad it wasn't just me. Because while I was alive when it happened, I was a baby. But I feel like Michael Jordan has been in the realm of circle, like...
People still talk about him.
Yeah, MJ is a big dude, like, not only in height, but in money. I mean, he owns basketball stadium, and his house that he sold back in 2012 is fucking fantastic. So, I mean, like, this is a well-known man. You'd think this murder would be talked about more often.
You would think.
It's not.
Weird.
So I'm glad I'm not the only one that was oblivious to...
I feel like unless you're, like, a super fan, there's some things you just don't know.
Okay, so, and when you bring that up, I asked Nicholas... And he insists that he had heard that MJ, the best basketball player of all time, according to the NBA, that his father was murdered. So if my 10-year-old knew.
Again, if you're a super fan and, like, you deep dive on people's lives, I mean, I don't tend to go that far. Okay, I say that, but then Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I guess it really does depend. But, I don't know, I found the case really interesting, especially for who he is. Mm-hmm. Michael Jordan's father was very intertwined with his life.
Yeah.
So, and it wasn't like, oh, he's my dad and he's at my basketball games. He was, according to a tribute, or an article from the Chicago Tribune back in 2009, this is a person that was well known to the family. He said some of those who have known Jordan the longest, have been the closest to him, spoke so eloquently of their bond between him and his father. He called him Pops, and he was there throughout his entire rise of fame. He never missed a game. He rarely missed practice.
Did he also go to his little baseball career that he had?
Yeah, he was all involved in the baseball career.
Which, can we talk about that for a second? First of all, he did not fit in the baseball community. He is way too damn tall.
He wasn't that tall back then.
Did he get taller as an adult? Because it wasn't as an adult.
Yes.
How the fuck?
So, he, all the way up to junior year, was only 5'11".
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He tried to make the varsity team, and he was only 5'11". They deemed him too short. So it kind of was like a motivator for him. And his first season playing JV, he would average about 40 points a game. Okay. And then that, trying to prove his point that his height was tall enough. Mm-hmm. And then that following year, they finally accepted him on varsity. And then the year after that, he finally grew up a couple inches.
Huh.
But, you think most men are done growing by high school?
Yeah, because
shortly after.
Clay and I were talking about this. He said, because we were talking about the differences in puberty between boys and girls at one point, and he was like, girls, it's like a subtle change over time for certain things. He's like, for guys, it's just all of a sudden.
Yeah, they just wake up one morning.
Yeah, they just shot up. And their voices change, everything happens. He's like, it's all just wham, bam,
it's like Luke the Voice on TikTok. Have you ever heard him? Oh my gosh. Alright.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I'm going to get a free promo here to Luke the Voice. But, there's videos of him one week, and he sounds like a high-pitched little girl. And then the next week, he's like, the deepest country singer you have ever seen in your life. I mean, it's amazing.
I'm going to have to look this up.
You should look. It looks like it's a fake voice. But, yeah, so, I do understand that it just happens overnight.
Yeah, so tell me, what happened to Michael Jordan's father?
Well,
what was his name?
James R. Jordan Sr.
Okay.
His murder is so interesting in my eyes because I don't think 28 years later we have the truth.
You don't think so?
No. So, there are two different stories. Actually, there's three. There's Daniel's original story. He is one of the convicted killers.
Okay.
Then there is a Larry. He is the other convicted killer. There's his story. And then Daniel has another story that he claims is the truth. So, Daniel and Larry were best friends. That was their only friend.
Okay.
Daniel was so close to Larry because when he was sentenced to jail as a younger person, because he was young when he supposedly did this, Larry was the only one that wrote him. Aww. So he was very close to Larry, would protect Larry at all costs. On the night of July 22nd, 1993, they are supposedly at a family cookout together. Mm-hmm. And there's record of that. They do confirm he was at a family cookout. This is where the stories will change.
Okay.
According to Larry, they both left the party about 1:30 in the morning on the hunt to rob someone. Okay?
Okay.
According to Daniel, Daniel's family, this is the party they were at, that is not correct. Larry left at 1:30 in the morning for a drug run to New York. Daniel eventually goes into saying that he was a mule and would take drugs from North Carolina to New York on a regular basis. But
That's a long-ass drive to do some drug runs. Damn.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
But it was a normal thing. And Daniel never wanted to be involved in the drug life. He was a good student. The reason he got his first charge was he was jumped and he defended himself. And instead of going to court, the lawyer said that there was no point. This was your first offense. They're not going to do anything. In reality, they did.
If you defended yourself...
Yep.
Why was he even charged with anything if all he did was defend himself? That's stupid.
Anyways, so according to Larry, and we're going to go by Larry's account first because Larry is the reason why they both were given the sentences that they were given.
Okay.
They left the house around 1:30 a.m. on July 23rd, 1993, and they are searching for someone to rob. According to Larry, they find a cherry red Lexus. Okay?
Ooh, pretty.
Car's worth at that time well over 50 grand. Larry claims he believes is a drug dealer that he's robbing.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel supposedly walks up to the car while the man is sleeping inside, shoots him point blank in the chest, killing him, moves the body over, they both get in the car. They later dump the body in South Carolina.
Okay.
Okay? But here's a little fun fact. If you shoot somebody in a car at point blank range, wouldn't you expect there to be blood?
Yeah, like
There
a
was
shit
none.
ton. Okay.
Okay? So there's the first. There was none. According to Daniel, what had happened was Larry leaves at 1:30, comes back around 4:30 in a panic, Larry's telling Daniel he needs help. Daniel doing anything for Larry because that is, in his eyes, his only true friend, proceeds to follow Larry to a ditch in front of a motel where there is a black man laying dead in the ditch. They wrap the body up, put him in the trunk, take him to South Carolina next to a plant that Larry used to work at.
When they put the body in a trunk, was it the Lexus?
Yes.
Okay.
Daniel thinks the Lexus is the drug dealer's because, according to Daniel's account, Larry left at 1:30 to get the drug dealer.
Right.
And take the car to New York.
Right.
So Larry is going full, in his mind, supposedly, this was a drug dealer they killed. No one's looking for a drug dealer. No one's going to report a drug dealer's car missing. No one's going to report it stolen. Who cares?
Right.
Although he's not okay with the dead body part, he's thinking, cool, I got a Lexus to drive for a couple weeks. Ain't nobody's going to care that a drug dealer's car is gone. No, a drug dealer's not going to report their car stolen.
Right.
Okay, now here's my problem with this. The license plate was a North Carolina license plate. The inscription on the license plate was UNC 0023.
Come on.
Wait, it gets better. The watch that they find either on the man or in the car is inscribed by Michael Jordan. The ring that they find is the Chicago Bulls championship ring of that year. Now, Daniel boasts about how much Michael Jordan was his idol. Every little black boy at that time, and I'm not sure if that's a nice way to say it, I'm sorry if it's wrong, but everybody idolized. I mean, even white kids idolized Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
He was he showed that you could be successful. Mm-hmm. How they did not know it was Michael Jordan's car until they get arrested, I don't believe.
No, I'm sorry. The Bulls ring, the license plate, come on.
The inscription, to think that this was just a Michael Jordan superfan, a couple hours out of Wilmington, where they are known to have lived.
No.
No, but if you didn't do it, which I really don't believe he did, Daniel.
Okay.
You knew that this was a fucked up situation.
Yep.
Because you knew that this car was not just some drug dealers. First of all, why is a drug dealer going to drive around with vanity plates that say UNC 0023? They're not.
It's going to bring attention to them.
Yeah.
They don't. Well, they have nice cars. That's a little too flashy for a drug dealer.
Way too flashy. But then again, you also got to think it's flashy, but would you really suspect a thug to be driving this around, kind of thing?
True.
So either way, I don't understand how they didn't know that they just. I mean, obviously, I can understand why they didn't think it was Michael Jordan they killed. But to not know it was his father or somebody related in this realm of super fandom, either way. Yeah, how they didn't know, I don't understand. Now, even though Larry and Daniel are charged with the same crime, Larry got the better sentencing because Daniel refused to flip.
I was going to say Larry talked.
And Larry not only talked, but he pinned it all on Daniel.
That's fucked.
Yeah.
That's supposedly like your best friend. Rachel, I love you so much. First of all, I'm not well, I might help you hide a body. I don't know. But if we get caught, bitch, I'm flipping on you. Like, you're my best friend. You are my one, like, person that's not going anywhere, never has. I'm flipping. I'm sorry.
So, they come up with a lie together when they finally, get this car. Mm-hmm. And they both tell the lie originally. And, of course, the police, they know it's a lie. Mm-hmm. But they continue to push them and then use the good old lies to, if they're going to lie to us, we're going to lie to them. And
they already told us. Daniel already told us everything, Larry. You might as well tell us your side.
And Daniel refused to tell. Mm-hmm. So Larry obviously got the better sentencing. Let's talk about how James ended up in this situation, though.
Yeah, tell me.
So, on July 22nd, he attends a funeral in Wilmington, North Carolina, and is on his way home about 12:30. It's about 200 miles away. He pulls to the side to a motel parking lot. So he's pulled over at the hotel asleep. And then
Was he sleeping in his car?
He was.
Oh, okay.
He was just tired. Driving for a long time, he was just kind of needing a rest.
Yeah.
And that's what... And they don't even know for sure if he was asleep, but they know he was pulled over there.
Okay.
Now, here's the weird thing. So he goes to this funeral on the 22nd. Mm-hmm. He is supposed to be home, and his birthday passed, and things happen, and no one reports him missing.
That's weird.
Yeah. Yes, it's very strange to me. So on August 3rd of 1993, when the body is discovered in a South Carolina swamp, they don't know who he is because he has no identification on him. He's a John Doe.
Right.
But, okay, there's my problem with this. Michael Jordan, back in the 90s, early 90s, was seen all over television. Mm-hmm. All over television. Now, I might have only been 2 years old, so I don't remember it. But Wayback Machine remembers.
Yeah.
And there's pictures. There's film of him and his dad together.
Yeah.
And even though the body sat in South Carolina heat underwater for 10-ish days, I just don't know how they couldn't had no idea who this man is.
I can kind of see it because there's probably blow and then damage from elements and stuff. Yeah, I can kind of see why maybe you wouldn't have been able to immediately know. Unless, again, you were a super fan. Even if he was all over TV, you might have been like, he kind of looks familiar, but I can't place it.
Yeah, well, he's never reported missing.
That's weird to me.
That's weird to me. According to the family, it wasn't unusual for him to just pick up and go. It wasn't basketball season.
So they could have just been like, all right, he's just doing his thing.
They could have. I don't know.
Again, in the early 90s, was there really cell phones?
There was car phones because that's how they are going to figure this case out, supposedly.
Okay, sorry.
So there was car phones, but there was no cell phone. So the body again is found on December 3rd. On February 5th, the Cumberland County Sheriff's Department in North Carolina is notified of an abandoned and stripped down Lexus that's found in the Woodin area. And the VIN number is traced back to James Jordan.
Okay.
So they find the abandoned car. They contact, obviously, the Jordan family.
Right.
They say they don't know where he is. I don't know why the car is stripped. They had money. You know what I mean? It's not like they stripped the car or whatever for insurance fraud. Mm-hmm. He just won the Chicago Bulls championship.
Yeah, no. It's not like they needed money.
Yeah.
They were not hurting.
So that happens on the 5th. They find the car.
Okay.
On August 7th, due to lack of storage space within the coroner's office in South Carolina, in the Marlborough County coroner's office, they cremated the unidentified body but preserved the jaws, so the teeth, and the hands for identification purposes.
Okay.
On November 13th of 1993, the teeth are identified from the identified man are matched to dental records showing he's James Jordan. Then phone calls made from the Lexus car phone between the July 23rd and 26th led authorities to Larry and Daniel. They are picked up and interrogated on August 15th of 1993 and never released out of custody as of that day. So when Daniel is picked up, he's very open to say, yes, I rode in the car. Yes, I took stuff out of the car. I mean, he gives them a lot of information regarding the car. But he claims that he got the car from a guy named Rick. Larry also says the same story. Rode in the car, blah, blah, blah. Got it from a guy named Rick.
Okay.
They obviously go to trial because Larry flips on Daniel. Daniel continues to claim innocence throughout this entire investigation.
Yeah.
After they are arrested, both of them try to keep the dead body out of this entire story. But as soon as Larry hears that he could get the death penalty, he flips.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, fair.
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 Very fair. But if you're gonna flip, I'm gonna at least tell the truth.
Yeah.
And the fact that, according to Larry, who is repeatedly saying Daniel shot him point blank in the chest, why are we accepting that as the truth when there's no blood found within the vehicle?
Do we know what the coroner said cause of death was?
Supposedly a gunshot wound to the chest.
Okay.
But the shirt, so the clothes that were found on James Jordan's body were so damaged and smells from being in a swamp in South Carolina for 10 days that when they are doing the autopsy, the clothes are removed and not kept in evidence, but buried behind the coroner's office in dirt.
What?
Yeah, because they smelled so bad, supposedly.
What?
Yeah, isn't that weird?
That's not normal.
Even if they couldn't see the gunshot wound, this man's body ends up in a swamp. You don't know who he is. I'm sorry, that's immediately going to be a foul play, and we're going to hold all pieces of evidence.
Yeah, I understand it might have smelled really, really bad. I will give you that. It probably stunk to high hell. What the fuck? That doesn't make sense. South Carolina, what the fuck were you doing?
I don't know. And then how did North Carolina let this go to court like this?
Yeah.
So Dimitri obviously took a plea deal in return for truthful testimony against Green. The time that Dimitri took the plea and his trial, so between that time, he makes another deal with the prosecution and testifies on the stand against his best friend, Daniel.
Come on.
Giving them a play-by-play of what supposedly happened. That Green was the one who fired the deadly shot. Now in North Carolina, it does not matter if you were the one that pulled the trigger or I was the one that pulled the trigger. If we are both present during the crime of the robbery and a person dies, you are both charged with murder.
Yes.
So they both were charged with murder.
Of course. Which to me makes perfect sense.
Yep.
You let it happen. You did nothing to stop it. You didn't report it immediately. You committed murder.
Right. Mine is just blown, though. Like, if there's no evidence pointing to Larry's story being true, how are we allowing this to go to trial? Yeah. Even though Larry's saying this is the truth, he's admitting to the death of James Jordan in some way, shape, or form. It doesn't match the evidence.
No.
The evidence would show gunshot residue within the car because it's going to spray.
Yep.
It's going to show blood within the car, even if it was a contact wound.
Yeah.
A body inside of a car not moving is still going to have blood.
Yep. And if they moved the body
blood
in order to get into the car, it's going to go every fucking where.
And it wasn't like the seats were removed out of this stripped down Lexus. The seats were still there.
Yeah. And like we've talked about before in the past, even if you clean it, the blood is still there.
Blood never leaves.
It never leaves.
That's why it's really cool. Really cool. But it doesn't make sense of how this trial can A, even go to court, but B, be found guilty without evidence.
So they were obviously both charged. What was Larry's plea deal? What did he get when he talked and flipped and got a deal?
Life with the opportunity of parole.
What did Daniel get?
Life without parole.
And they've never looked at this case again?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, no?
No, the NCAA.
NCAA.
Yeah, thank you. it was going to come out eventually. They have gone up to bat for Daniel so much that one of the highest people in North Carolina for the NCAA has offered that if Daniel is released on parole, he can stay with him.
Well, damn.
Larry has been given the opportunity of parole and was supposed to be going to a parole hearing this year. But due to infractions, they have now terminated that because, parole only works if, you behave in there.
Yeah. If you have infractions, if you're not behaving, if you do something, you're not getting out even if you have possibility of parole. It's not how it works.
Yep. So
think of it as timeout.
The post-conviction case has been the most interesting.
Okay.
Because the United States Supreme Court has denied review of the case. Daniel filed for appropriate relief and has appointed new counsel back in 2000. In 2008, Daniel also filed affidavits stating that the claims were meritless. The judge disagreed and found the claims to be ineffective assistance of counsel. His lawyer was not the best. During his initial holding time, he switches religions, and they live in a Bible Belt. And he is a black man in a Bible Belt. He decides he's going to switch over to Islam and dress in full Islam gears with
Daniel?
Yeah.
Okay.
With Islam Bible containers.
All the things.
In 1993, shortly after the first attack on the trade centers, he switches his name to an Islamic name that I cannot pronounce.
Okay.
And unfortunately, we live in an area, and even to today, I see a lot of hate towards the Islamic community.
Yes.
And
which is a problem.
Right, because ISIS is the violence, not the actual Islamic community. The Islamic religion is based on peace.
Yes, it is.
But anyways, a lot of people took that into account into the jury. And then also, he wanted to get on the stand, and the attorney pretty much flat out said that's a bad idea.
I can agree with that.
But
I can see why he would say that.
There was other witnesses that could prove that Daniel was not there at the time of the crime.
Right.
And they refused to call them.
Oh, come on. Do your damn job.
Yeah. So he has been filing for relief after relief after relief. He has the Innocence Project working with him now, the NCAA. The fact that he is offering his home to Daniel, if he is ever released, as a stable living environment, I don't know, that holds a lot of ground to me.
Yeah.
You're going to accept this man who's supposedly convicted of murder into your home. You must have good reasoning of why you trust him.
Yeah.
Since January, the NCAA has been diligently working on evidentiary hearings. It's a 79-page order. And in July of this year...
July of 2021?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry. It hasn't happened yet. July 2021, they went to the Court of Appeals again, and again, it's still in the process. He did have a request for parole where they were giving him the option for parole, and it was denied on other grounds.
Okay.
But usually the first time you finally get parole, you're not going to usually get through.
No.
So they weren't really expecting it. The blood evidence is where it's really interesting.
Okay.
So special, and I don't know what North Carolina's is, but SBI agent Jennifer Ewell failed to disclose laboratory notes documenting negative conformity blood tests. Without supporting scientific results, she testified at trial that a substance in the vehicle was blood. She concealed that she should not have testified on it because she had no information if it was blood.
So she went on stand, said it was blood,
but had no evidence proving that it was.
So you lied on the stand.
Yep.
You lied under oath. That's illegal.
So then here comes more of how is this even a legit case. The phone calls that ended up linking back to Larry and Daniel, and that's how they found, the car how they got the car. One of those calls made after the murder was to Hubert Larry Deese. He's a drug trafficker and son of the sheriff in charge of Jordan's murder investigation.
Come the fuck on.
Larry was a previous co-worker to this drug dealer, And he was convicted of drug trafficking prior to the trial. Now, this man has gotten out of prison.
Who was convicted of drug trafficking?
Hubert Larry Deese, the sheriff's son.
Okay, I got confused.
He has been released from prison at this time and lives a very normal business life. He's a businessman, has multiple businesses, and they're legit businesses.
Okay.
Okay?
Good for you.
Yep.
Glad to see rehabilitation.
While the state interviewed the drug trafficker,
Mm-hmm.
they did interview him, but they either didn't document the interview or failed to provide this information to the defense. So this man is called from a car phone of a murder victim, and no one has information about why this call went through. Now, according to prosecutors, that call was a very quick, one-time call, did not make connection. They're trying to claim that it was a misdial. What's the likelihood?
Hell no. Larry, you're telling me Larry was driving drugs across state lines for people?
And
it was a mistrial for a drug trafficker?
And he was a previous co-worker at an actual business.
Yeah, okay.
So the state fails to disclose the evidence establishing a relationship between the sheriff, the drug trafficker, and Larry, and just lets it go like it never happened. Now, the shirt that we told you was buried.
Yeah.
So Joel Sexton was the coroner who did the autopsy of the unidentified male found in the swamp. He said that there was no hole in the shirt that corresponded with a bullet wound to the chest.
So how the fuck did you put cause of death?
SLED, which is South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, the agent that worked on that, his name was Collins, collected the evidence from the autopsy, but did not collect the clothing.
Because they buried it?
Yep.
Everybody in the fucking law enforcement corner, y'all fucked up. My God.
So after the remains are identified to be those of James Jordan, the North Carolina SBI, which is like our SLED or Georgia's GBI,
yeah,
they exhumed the clothing that they had buried. Their shirt was examined by an agent who reported finding a bullet hole in the upper right section of the shirt, precisely where Dr. Sexton, the coroner, reported that there was not a hole.
We all just fucking willy-nilly winging it. Who fucking cares?
So,
what the fuck?
Now, according to Daniel, what he believed happened was that Larry went out to do his drug run.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe mistaken the wrong vehicle. And when James Jordan opens the door to confront Larry panics and shoots him. Either way, Daniel claims he did go with Larry to dispose of this body.
Right.
He does claim he drove around in this car. He does claim that he had the jewelry. He will expect full responsibility for that.
Okay.
But he does not claim responsibility for being there or being the one that shot him.
I mean, I can understand why maybe we're kind of going to doubt the family a little bit of who left first. I can understand that.
Some of the people who were at this party that were not family.
Okay. To me, again, I haven't researched this at all. You're just telling me everything. I don't think... Daniel's wrong. He's 100% wrong for going and helping dispose of the body, doing all that with the car. I don't think he committed the murder or helped commit the murder. I don't think he was there. Nope.
No, but...
Too much bullshit
to protect his best friend, he did get involved. And he even says, like thinking back, he should have known that the man that they were dumping was related to Jordan.
Yeah, you really should have.
And then he was like, you know what? He's sorry. I mean, like, that was his idol.
Yeah.
He collected all of his posters. They used to be in the Wheaties. He really looked up to this man. So his heart broke for his family, but at the same time, he didn't shoot him.
No, he didn't.
But he still disposed of the body. And he says he deserves to be sentenced for that.
I agree.
But to be sentenced for murder that he did not commit, he will never... And a lot of the things... So, like, one of the things to get parole, you have to admit guilt. He says he'll never admit guilt to killing him. He'll stay in prison before he does that.
And to me, that tells me that you didn't do it.
Yeah, the parole board is like... And I'm not saying this is what happened. But he's saying, even if they said, this is all I need to say to get out, I'm not saying it.
Because if you'd rather stay in prison than just say, I fucking did it, so I can leave, you didn't do it.
Yeah.
There's no way. Because nobody's going to... I'm sorry. I know there's some, like, career people that kind of seems like they choose prison. But I don't see somebody just choosing prison instead of getting out when you have this man that obviously is pretty loaded, I would assume, to be high up in the NCAA, offering you his home, and you have a place to stay. It's guaranteed.
And
why would you choose
and
prison?
The wife's on board. The wife to the head of the NCAA.
She's like, oh yeah, come on.
Yeah. Like, I could see this man looking at it. He's a black man looking out for a black son, kind of thing, looking at a father figure. But this woman has I can't see why there would be a connection.
Yeah. Other than mother figure, maybe?
Maybe, but I would have a hard time if I didn't really believe that you were innocent accepting a murderer into my home.
Yeah. Larry's a fucker. I don't fucking like Larry. Fuck you, Larry.
And so, I just couldn't imagine to not only roll on your best friend. I understand that.
Yeah. I completely understand that. Like I said, I would roll on you.
But to then...
But I wouldn't lie.
Exactly.
I wouldn't blame it on you if I did it. If you did it, and they're like, you're going to get the death penalty, you better start talking. I'll be like, I didn't fucking shoot him. I was not there when he was shot. She came and got me afterwards. Yeah, I did not commit the actual murder.
Which is what Greed says. He tells police, I've never seen him. He didn't listen to his conscience, okay? He did not care what his conscience was saying. He was seeing his best friend in distress.
Which, when you're very close like that, they're more like siblings, and it's family bond, and it's different.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I would help you. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if I could commit illegal acts for you. Depending on what it was, I guess. But, again, I would 100% roll on you, but I would probably, against my better judgment, do something to help you. Because we have been friends for fucking ever.
Yeah, like, I don't understand. Like, Daniel didn't live this life where it would be so far unfetched. You know what I mean? Like, he had just got out of jail for that confrontation with a knife.
Yeah.
Although he claims it was self-defense, the lawyer said, absolutely, this is your first offense, don't worry about it, nothing will happen.
Stupid lawyer.
In 1995, so before he's actually convicted of the murder, the court vacates the conviction for the initial assault that he went to prison for 3 years, and said that it was ineffective counsel, and said it should have been self-defense. So Daniel had no part of being a violent person other than that assault that was later dropped as self-defense.
And poor Daniel apparently just has had a bad record with counsel.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when, unfortunately, you have no money.
Yeah.
Because as you can see with, our huge series with Dick Harpootlian, do you think someone could afford a Dick Harpootlian attorney like Daniel?
Hell no.
No. But do you also think this case would have been to find a black man's body in South Carolina in the early 90s? Do you think if it wasn't James Jordan that they would have cared as much? Because I don't.
No.
I don't.
I'm sorry. They wouldn't have cared. And I hate to say that.
I just don't feel like the investigation would have went so far as to find James Jordan. So if a random car was found stripped, okay, in one state, and the body's found in another state, that's multiple agencies having to work together to piece it together.
Yeah. And honestly,
I'm
kind of surprised that in the 90s they had the wherewithal to keep the jaw in hands. I'm honestly surprised.
Me too. They kept the jaw in hands, but didn't keep the clothes.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's half like, okay, you had some sense, but not quite enough there. But also a lot because you're keeping identification things intact. Which I don't know if that's a common practice. I don't know. I don't work...
Keep what?
Identification things intact. Past, making a mold and maybe keeping that, but, you're saying you went as far as to preserve it. So I don't know if that's common
normally
practice.
They wouldn't get rid of the body that quick.
But again, 90s...
Due to space, supposedly.
I mean, let's be honest, in the 90s, crime was kind of insane at that point. I mean, it still is.
Yeah, but we also know that it is and have bigger resources to
Right.
handle them. But I that was my whole thing. It's like, this was not just one state where it was like, oh, I have an unidentified black male 5 counties over. This was a whole nother state that they looked for this, they looked for an unidentified black male.
Yeah.
Now, my thing is, Michael Jordan has never made a comment or had any interest in the investigation nor trial of Larry Demery or Daniel Green.
I can kind of understand. You're already in the public eye enough. That might be something that he really, really needed to deal with privately. And I can understand that.
Deal with privately, which is, I agree. He ends up retiring from the Chicago Bulls a couple months later.
Right.
And saying that the only thing good that came of his father's death was he saw not only my last game, but a championship.
Oh.
Now, during this retirement, there's been sources that say that they've verified it's not true. But when he retires is also during the height of a gambling problem, where many speculate that retirement was not a retirement, but a suspension from the NBA due to the gambling.
But there's multiple sources saying it's not true?
One source.
One source?
Who, in 2010, I think, was going to write a book about it and said that there was no connection. But he did have a gambling problem.
Yeah.
Which
I knew.
Which has been known, yeah.
That's not a secret at all. I mean, granted, this isn't a secret,
but do we think that... So my thought is if he has a gambling problem, what if his dad did as well? And what if his dad's gambling problem led him to drugs to take care of the gambling problem? And Larry was really supposed to go and get a drug car.
Maybe. That is a very interesting theory.
Interesting it can be. Either way, Larry and Daniel at this time still reside in North Carolina prisons. Larry's parole has now indefinitely been terminated until he can get his act together, because he was been charged with substance abuse in there, contraband. I mean, Daniel has also had infractions, and according to Daniel, it's you're in a prison. Being in prison is setting you up to be an infraction, because you're constantly defending yourself.
I can see that.
Daniel's last infraction was in 2020. Larry's was just a couple of weeks ago, so.
Okay, well, that was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So, here is the question for the week to answer on our socials.
Who knew?
Who knew? Did you know that Michael Jordan's father was murdered? And if you did, do you remember, were you like old enough at the time to know what was going on? Like, do you remember anything about it? Or was it just like you're a Jordan super fan, you were too young then, but like you researched it? So I'm curious.
A lot of people that have made comments that I've like searched for, the O.J. Simpson trial,
yeah,
was shortly before this.
True.
So this is kind of like where true crime has entered the world of fascination.
Yes.
Because O.J. Simpson had a very high profile case, and then right after that case is done comes James Jordan's case. I don't know.
Is it possible? Because even after the OJ trial ended, it was still like very media frenzy. Jordan could have got overshadowed. It's possible. And again, if you're saying Michael didn't make statements to the public.
I mean, I don't think it was overshadowed to adults.
Yes.
You gotta remember, I was 2 or 3 at the time.
Yeah. I wasn't even born.
So, from what I'm looking at old newspaper articles and stuff like that, no, it wasn't. It was a high profile case.
Okay.
It's just not one that's talked about as hard as OJ is now. And is it because OJ was the athlete and James Jordan was the father?
Maybe.
But I don't know. I just found it so interesting that I didn't know about it.
Yeah, that's all of that is very interesting. That's insane.
Yeah, and the fact that they are still, I mean, up until a couple weeks ago, are filing appeals and stuff. And, like, it's still an active case. Like, if you search in Lumberton County where both those boys were arrested, it is still in the news. It's only 45 minutes from us. That's why I just couldn't understand why we haven't heard about it.
Honestly, there's so much going on in South Carolina right now. It doesn't surprise me that we didn't hear about it. There's too much going on here.
Yeah.
To know what's going on
in the rest of the world?
Even though, like, because, yes, I know what's going on in other places, I couldn't tell you what the hell is happening in North Carolina. My mind is so preoccupied because we have Murdaugh going on down in the Low Country. We have murders left and right going here. I'm still waiting to hear what the connection is.
With the piano player?
With the piano
I
player.
had a dream about it.
What was your dream? Tell me.
Okay, so, and I don't dream very often.
You don't.
So.
That's why I'm like, tell me right now.
Okay, so, dream about the piano player that we've spoken about that was arrested for the murder of that woman in Greer, South Carolina. In my dream, the father of her children is friends with this piano player. The children idolize the piano player. Like, they know each other. And they're friendly. And the piano player does it as a favor to these children that he, like, has a connection with. Like, so that the father can keep the children. The children don't understand that they're being withheld from their mother. They think the mother's bad. Kind of like they're being...
brainwashed?
Yep. But that was in my dream.
Interesting. All right, so come to our socials, our Facebook group, Crime and Chill Fam.
Give us 5 stars. You can do it on Spotify now.
Yeah. Tell us if you knew this, if you were aware of this, or if this is news to you and we're telling you something new. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, The Tickety Talks, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Like and subscribe or do whatever it is you do on Apple Podcasts. Rate on Spotify because apparently that's a thing now.
It is, and the better ratings we get, the more opportunities we get to make money, which means the more we can file for FOIAs. It's the only reason why I want it. It's the only reason why I want to make money is so we can pay for FOIA.
Yeah, that's literally it. Because FOIA, while it's Freedom of Information Act, it's not free.
They don't give you the entire case for free. You got to pay per the page.
Yes. So we want to give you guys more dirt, but there's only so much we can do without paying an arm and a leg for it.
So if you don't want advertisements, I'm okay with donations.
I will open up listener support. You guys just tell me if you want me to, and I will open it up.
And we will file for papers on cases that you're interested in, because there's not a case I'm not interested in.
I mean, honestly.
And that is end goals for us right now, or for me right now.
I'm on the same page as you. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in this week. We will see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.